Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Welcome back to your morning Spurs show. Cockerel Doodle. Eddie will be joining us, but the band are back together. The originators are back. Me and Johnny haven't done this show since I've been back in Canada. Joined by our brother, James Flower. James, first of all, how are you, good sir?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, to be honest. Really, really well. How are you guys?
All good here. Johnny, my brother, my partner in crime. How are you?
I'm all right. Good to be back. It's good to be back. Yeah, I mean, it's like I feel like this morning's last season revisited. You know, what would Tottenham be without a criminal incident or a rule break? Do you know what I mean? The only saving grace is last season it was every week.
Yeah,
we've had a break, but it's normal business resumed. From Chelsea, we had the the high of Chelsea buzzing, and now we're back where we normally are.
Well, all I can say is for the first time Daniel Levy ever told the truth at his little forum when he said, "We've got our Tottenham back." Well, here we go. Injuries, defeats, legal battle. We got our Tottenham back. We will be talking, like I said, Eddie will be joining us, but let's just say good morning to everyone that's here already. So good morning to Eddie. Good morning, sir. I hope you're good. He's left it. We'll be talking about the potential points production. I've got a mini rant that I went on yesterday that I'm going to bring back. Good morning, Lee, brother. Colin, good morning, sir. A 1-1 draw. I think you're in the playoffs, aren't you, Wales? So you're not out completely, but you're here for your therapy and you're going to get it. Little did we know when we left yesterday, the news of yesterday was going to break after the show. We will be talking about it. Big up, Gary Speed. Fran, good morning.
Morning,
David,
Fran.
Good morning. Michael, as always, good morning. Rich, good morning. Mark Cousins, big up. Oh, there you go. The Daily Flyer.
Listen, if they're not dead, Mark, right, I swear to you, honestly, I hoovered up yesterday. I reckon there must have been 150, maybe more. And I'm hoping I don't see any more. That's got to be it. It's cold enough for the flies to drop. I just hope I'm hoovering up their comrades just in case they return next year, right, for the funeral.
So we've also got Benjamin Foster asking the same. That see you're back in the fly to the main topic. Anthony, big up, Phil.
Big up.
Wishing you better, my brother. I hope you're good. Right.
Very good, Philly.
I am separating this from the Jermaine Defoe deal, and then we'll speak Levy+ENIC, my specialist subject in Mastermind, Levy+ENIC. So yesterday it broke that the irregularities in this payment to Portsmouth has happened. Spurs back in the news now. I think what's got me more with this isn't for me. I will come on to Levy+ENIC, but this isn't a Tottenham thing for me anymore. This is a football thing. I spoke about it, and I was on a stream last night, Johnny, with Ian Meth. I was on Tommy's channel. And I said,
Yeah.
from what I remember from
He
when
asked me to go on. I couldn't go on last night.
I was asked when we were talking about this. I said, do you know what? When I go back at it from like what my dad and my grandpa used to tell me, and the earliest team I can remember properly, football-wise, is the iconic Liverpool dominating Beardsley, Rush, Barnes, Hanson, all of that. Football was all about prestige and the best team on the pitch. That was it. If Tottenham and Liverpool went for you, or anyone went for you, regardless whether you play or not, you went to Liverpool for the prestige, not the money. The only
days of old, yeah.
Yeah, that was what it was about. Then you look at it, and people like Ferguson and Mourinho, and the advantages, fair play, like Mourinho was on the pitch, the best players, the money came in, but managers would try and find ways to get an advantage, whether it was stuff like Mourinho saying 2 players go down and then you can't take one off. And it's like that. Now you look at it, all the advantages now seem to be in the back room, and who can be the biggest crook, who can be the biggest scandalous. Everton, if you don't have the money, Man City and Chelsea do, we'll get to you first and then we'll deal with that.
Yesterday's deal.
Gone are the days when, and James, for you, I remember growing up as a football fan where people used to collect Panini stickers and used to try and get a hologram card, and was at an age where people loved building up their Subbuteo set. Like people, it's like, oh, I've just got this new stand or the floodlight. We've gone from that to now people looking at P&L reports and spreadsheets and their football team just building monopolies and hotels. I mean, James, it's getting ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, to be honest, there's so many little bits and pieces that you said there. It is all just, it's all just a money scandal, to be honest. That's the only way to describe it. In my opinion, it's all a money scandal. And the likes of Chelsea, Man City, United, let's not kid it. They're the ones giving the Premier League their money. They are the ones that the Premier League are making the most money from. So, in my opinion, what they're going to do is they're going to dig up the dirt on Everton. They're going to look for slightly smaller clubs in Tottenham. It wouldn't surprise me if there was around the sort of mid-table teams that they start picking up on and going, right, you've done this, you've done that. And it wouldn't surprise me if Chelsea, City, United and get away with it, because let's be honest, they're the real breadwinners for the Premier League.
Yep. I mean, Johnny, what's your thoughts?
I don't know. Listen, well, I grew up when, players would go off at half time and have a fag, in the dressing room, and and a drink.
Yep.
Even had a whiskey. If it was a bit cold. Look, Wenger turned football around from a health perspective, stopping them boozing and the diets and all of that. And I could handle that. That was a good thing, for the health of football, and the football got faster, because if you watch any of the old games, it was strolling around. It was quite slow. Even the quick ones were slow, and the pitches were rubbish. But it's the progression of the crap on the outside of football, as you say, making money. We used to go to our club, the toilets stank, the food was as basic as you could basically get, but it wasn't all about that. It was about going down there, seeing your mates at the game and watching the football. And it's just become bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's so much money at stake now. When a guy comes in and invests, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50 million pound, it depends how long you've owned the club, or 100, 300 million pound, buying a club. He wants a return on his money. And, when you're a successful businessman, you've had to tread on a few people. You've had to make some decisions. It's not about yes, it's about the football, because without the football, you're going to lose your money. So you need to be successful on the pitch. And that involves cheating. That involves cutting corners and going above and beyond. Look, we all know that. I mean, I think the decision yesterday is an absolute disgrace. The fact that now Newcastle, despite having the billions that they got behind them, can now loan any player in Saudi Arabia, right? It's a farce. I understand where clubs like Brighton, they've got a model which works for them, where they bring players in. But Chelsea and Newcastle are going to manipulate this. And again, it's about the money. This should be stopped. It should be stopped. If you know, Levy's got a lot of money at stake in this. It's corrupted the football. It's been about something other than, and I actually thought, I don't know about you, James, Brian, for me, VAR, in my mind, was going to revolutionise football in the sense that when we went to Old Trafford, we wouldn't be having a hometown referee where we never get a decision. I thought VAR would come in and say, hey, you know what? It might be at Old Trafford and you might be away from home, but that's a penalty or that's a sending off, and take that away. But it hasn't.
No, well, with that though, in my opinion, VAR will never work because football is all about opinions. I could say Vicario is the best goalkeeper in the world, and everyone else could disagree. It's an opinion. I could say that's a foul, and you say that's never a foul. Back in mind that that's not a foul. Or I could say that the only thing for me VAR can get right is offsides, goal line technology, and throw-ins and things. They're the only things that are factually correct in football.
Well,
so,
can I just interject here? Just what you were going to say.
Once you finish, Johnny, I'm going to bring Ellie in. So.
Why is it that the FA rejected automatic offsides? Right, that was implemented and used during the World Cup. I'll tell you why. Because they got a freaking contract, right? And coming out of that contract and adopting a new method would have cost the Premier League money. But so it is about money. It's not about what's good for football. Because can you imagine the automated offsides? It comes up on the screen.
In
Seconds, we can see it on the screen. The fans in the stadium know what's going on. We're not going to have hamstring injuries while they're standing around for 5 minutes. It's corrupt.
It is.
Simple.
It is. And Ellie, I'm bringing you in right now. But first of all, I just want to thank Hemorrhoid again, all the way in Australia, for donating to my 3:30 coffee. This is, you know what? The weird thing is, I'm waking up at 3:30 before my alarm goes off, like at 3:28, and I'm very worried that my body clock has actually finally synced. But it's synced to 3:30 a.m. But talking to people that don't sleep well, I'll bring in my lack of sleep partner, Ellie. How are you doing, hon?
Yeah, I'm all right. I was just listening very interestingly to the VAR thing, and I totally agree because it is objective at the end of the day, all the decisions that they give. The human eye can tell lies, can't it? It really can. And even the lines can tell lies because we've seen it with offside goals that were onside. Yeah, so the technology was put in to make the game better, but it's actually made the game horrendous.
Ellie, very quick question. Sorry, but to cut you off with VAR. We started talking about what have you made of this whole Jermaine Defoe. Don't talk about Levy+ENIC. We're doing a whole section to him, funnily enough, on this channel straight after.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on the Jermaine Defoe deal coming up?
Well, we forgive you for that one because you've been up.
It is 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah. I was quite shocked actually because I always thought we were a squeaky clean club. Taking Levy out of the equation, I thought that's what we were all about. And when I read it, I was thinking, what? You know, we know things go on in football that are not quite right, but I didn't expect it. I really didn't. And I sort of, it sort of sunk my heart a bit because I thought, why now? You know, I know it was investigated back then and they didn't really, I think it was all brushed under the carpet and they didn't really investigate it fully. But now they want to bring up things that, you know, happened 2008, 15 years ago. 15 years ago. I mean, I suppose there's no time barrier on these things, but it just seems petty, if you ask me, to go into it because...
Yeah. I've got a question. I'll look at it slightly different. Is if you was to offer me a 10-goal deduction for Jermaine Defoe signing in his prime, I'll take it.
As well, and Ellie, I'm going to come back to you. Then we'll go James, Johnny. Someone has obviously done something that our chairman will be very proud of and grassed us right up. Now you look at it. It's either Manchester City, because Daniel Levy had a huge part in the Man City issue and making sure that got brought to light. And then by a major coincidence, who would have thought Everton get docked 10 points?
Yeah.
They brought up the Richarlison shit. They want £10 million off for Dele Alli. And I can talk Dele Alli. I'm like, do you know what? Even though Everton screwed us, people are worried about this 10 million. That man is trying to get his career back on the line and get his life back in order. 10 million to Everton, even though they've got this FFP, and £10 million to Tottenham compared to his life is a lot more important. So why these clubs are bitching about this is really starting to piss me off, especially on the mental health aspect. But getting back to who the snake is, all of a sudden, Everton get docked this. These two things come out about Spurs. And all of a sudden, within a week, when did Everton get their points docked? Last week? End of last week or beginning of this week? Whatever. Within a matter of hours or a matter of days, they ironically find this transfer deal again, and it gets brought back up. So, Ellie, you first. Are you thinking there's a bit of a conspiracy thing going on? Or not a conspiracy, a little plan at work here?
Yeah, it's a bit of underhand. Yeah, I do, because it's like spiting Spurs. We do you know what? I just feel that I don't get it. I just don't get it. Why they have to throw ammunition into this thing that happened 15 years ago. It's just sour grapes, I think, and we're doing so well. It's always, you hear this term Spursy. I hate that term as well, right? Because this is the sort of situation you would put it on, though, because it's just like, I don't know. I feel so angry that this has happened. I don't want us to get a reduction in points as well, because we've fought so hard to get these bloody points as well. I'm disappointed. Whoever's done this is bitter. It's bitter against Spurs. That's how I see it.
Okay.
It's a bit, yeah, and I just think whoever's done it is.
James, I'm going to come to you after Johnny, but the reason I'm going to go to Johnny first is, Rich, I can tell you the bare bones. I think Johnny knows it in a bit more detail, but I can't go into everything, but Johnny will be able to. So the transfer from Jermaine Defoe to Tottenham to Portsmouth, and who would have thought Harry Redknapp would be in the centre of a dodgy deal? Who would have thought it? There was an ex-Spurs player called Mitchell Thomas, who is not a registered agent, who was heavily involved in this transfer from one side. Daniel Levy then got in another official agent to do the deal, but this is the day and age where brown paper bags were going around like they're out of fashion. I'm sure Theo Pathetus, the ex-owner of Millwall, who owns Ryman's, probably did a great bulk deal in brown envelopes to fellow chairman to start delivering bungs. So there's been a whole load of controversy between this irregular agent, Mitchell Thomas. Johnny, can you fill it in a bit more and then speak?
I just think this is just an absolute piss take. I've got to be honest with you. I mean, look, obviously someone's got it in for Daniel or for Spurs. Probably both.
I'll put it in for Daniel. not
both. But listen, when you talk about corruption, right? You're talking about FIFA, who awarded the World Cup to Qatar, and now have gone and done exactly the same thing with Saudi Arabia, and then miraculously got a huge oil deal sponsorship. This is corruption, right? The Newcastle deal being passed, right? The ownership being passed without letting the Premier League clubs know is corruption, right? That is corruption, right? Telling us after the event, right? For fit and proper purposes. There's been so much. This is triviality. 15 years ago, they have affiliates. They got friends of the player who are like brothers or whatever, and they help them out. And it's no big deal. It's no big deal. When you look back 15 years ago, if James's son, right, goes on to be a top footballer, he's still at Norwich, right? Is it Norwich? Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes on a bit, and James isn't a licensed agent, but he's involved in the deal. But does that make him? Does that make the deal illegal? because he's a parent. I just think that this really is just trying to find crap where there isn't anyone. Because I think I know Luton got deducted. Was it 10 points?
So put it this way, from what I know, Luton, Arsenal got done 60,000 for Callum Chambers.
Yeah.
Leeds got done, I think it was 100 or 250,000. But the funniest thing about it was their owner had to go to what I can only class as when you're a driver and you get a speeding ticket and you have to go to one of those tests. Just the thought of Daniel Levy going to an FA organised school about being a better chairman makes me piss myself with laughter. And Luton got a big one.
Yeah, but I was going to say, you can't transport this crime, as they call it, 15 years into the future, and then do a crime that fits the punishment for now. You have to put it back. What was the crime back then, 15 years ago? I'm not talking about financial. I mean, when they knew the rules, or the rules were the rules, what was the punishment? Was the punishment massively severe like it is now? I mean, tell me something. Why are Arsenal spending more money than they can possibly have or have earned, right? Hundreds of millions. And they've been warned, was it twice now, by FIFA and the Premier League? I haven't seen any investigation. I haven't seen it. They just carried on spending. I mean, the good thing about us is, I thought, I did a post the other day. Isn't it great? Spurs will never have to worry about breaking FFP rules. And there we are 2 days later.
Mate, you can't write this shit. Like I said to you, it's been a slow week, international football, nothing to talk about. One of the greatest things I can always guarantee is that our ownership will do something, whether it be 15 years ago, whether it be 15 seconds ago. There's always a story somewhere. But James, I mean, Sky Andrew has been running his mouth, and we all know Sky Andrew is Judas's, or was Judas's agent, and he's having his mouth. I mean, what's been your thought on us being grassed up?
I don't care, to be honest. I really don't care. We ain't broke at FFP because we haven't spent more than we've earned or anything like that. So for me, I don't think it'll be a point deduction. I think Levy will probably get a little fine. So therefore, I'm not really bothered. I think sometimes that we've got this sort of aura around us. At the moment, it could be that photo with Van der Ven. Everyone, the whole media news are like, no, he's back next year. He's back next year. It's like they want to pop everyone's bubble. It's like, well, yeah, we know. But it's encouraging signs. We can see him coming back. But it's just like they're very quick to sort of rub a bit of dirt in our wounds. So for me, I'm not too bothered. It'll be what it'll be. I personally don't think it'll be a point deduction because it's not FFP breach, in my opinion.
So do you know what? There's a few people talking about my specialist subject, and I know Junior Mafia is in the building still. He hasn't said he's going to bed yet, so we'll have a quick chat. I put a tweet out in joke. I had to say this is a joke, by the way, because you know what people will do if I put something Levy out. And I did the GIF when the kids going, please, and I said live feed from Daniel Levy's living room on hearing that there could be a transfer ban. So we look at it. We look at it now, and I'll say it again. People like myself, Junior Mafia. I'll mention Stell. I'll mention Boogie. I'll mention Ryan, who's in the chat. Graham, all the hardcore that have been at the training ground, in the stands, on the sidelines, at the shop, you name it. That get the abuse we get, personal and views on Spurs, and we always get told, he's whiter than white. We do things the right way. This is a club that does things brilliant. Everything is... Well, obviously, we had Joe Lewis last season. Or was it last season or beginning of this? It was beginning of this, wasn't it?
Beginning, yeah.
Beginning of this. So it's all in the same season. Oh, and Fran's been on the pavement with us and outside the club shop. So we got told all this nonsense. Then... obviously, we had the start. We did. Everyone's, where are you? Where are you? What are you doing? We've always been there. What we wanted is the club to be doing better. It was. And now, Mr. Whiter than White, do things above board, everything. Listen, it was 15 years ago. It's 15 years ago before FFP. But once again, it shows that our ownerships aren't whiter.
100%. 100%.
I mean, I think this whole thing is a nonsense, and I think it will get done way after Chelsea and Man City. This has come up, but James,
I think it's huge, Brian. I hear what you're saying. I just think I'm with James here. I just think they're trying to make something big out of something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know, I mean, so what if he was a friend, or what's name was a friend, and he's brought along and he's helped with the deal, right? It's who ultimately did the deal. And if Mitchell Thomas was involved in the deal or facilitated it, but somebody else did it, what's the problem? What is the problem? If my best friend is a footballer and he says, I want him to come along and help me, right? Okay, I'm not United, but I'm not going to do the deal. Someone else is going to do the deal, but he wants me to, be there to back him up, right? I don't see there's a problem as long as it's a licensed person or two licensed people who ultimately sign the piece of paper and are responsible. Then that's it. I mean, James, well,
James, before I go to you, I just want to bring up one very quick thing. When we talk about this and about his agent owed money, could it be something like that? Now,
Sky Andrew being an Arsenal fan, you mean?
Well, no, but also where I want to go with this, and I'm going to say this, okay, live. There's 81 people in here, so if you get whatever, people will know. A couple of years ago, and I can't believe it's 2 years ago now, I put a very, very stupid bet on We Are Tottenham TV about Conte coming, and if he comes, I will get Tottenham on tour. I mean, We Are Tottenham TV tattooed on me, which is obviously it's there, but where we got it done was Jake Livermore's tattoo studio, as in the ex-Spurs player, West Brom player. And not for that one, when I had the 100,000, once they hit it, added to it, we spent 2 hours with Jake Livermore, one of the nicest guys I've ever met in football. Obviously, you'd think he's this white boy and he had his issues, which he was open about, and he had personal tragedy in his life. But he was meant to come in for a 5-minute interview with us on We Are Tottenham. He spent 2 hours with us. And obviously, we got talking, and Daniel Levy came up, and I was saying how much I just don't like him and what we're trying to do. He even turned around and said, listen, Daniel Levy still owes me money. Like, not even joking about it. It's like, Daniel, he goes, I've given up. Daniel Levy, and this is Jake Livermore. We're not talking a Kane, a Bow, a Van der Vaart. We're talking Jake Livermore. So when it comes to irregularities and payments and whatever, it goes a lot deeper. And big up Craig. I've just seen Craig in the building, and Ren Vicario 101 001 building. But James, where are you now with where this is Levy+ENIC?
The same place as they was before. I haven't got dirt in my eyes. I can see clearly. I can make my own opinion. I'm not a sheep. If I see something and I see it and it's good. Prime example, Brian, I'll say it again, Big Vic. Everybody gave me shit. Every single person gave me hate. You said, you don't know what you're talking. Yeah, they were, you don't know what you're talking about. I said, listen, the best thing about Big Vic is he's a good goalkeeper first and foremost. But, I mean, it's even the fans now. Honestly, the Spurs fan base make me sick. I hate them. I actually hate them. And by that, I mean, I'm seeing stuff online now. Like, if he plays Eric Dyer again, I hold Ange accountable. It's Ange's fault. I'm like, well, yeah, if you're looking at the first team and nothing but the first team, but if Ange is seeing Ashley Phillips and thinks that there's 20% chance that he may not progress from that, and it could affect him mentally, and it could then drop him down. I mean, we've had, is it Madawaki? We've had Edwards. All of these players that got built up, thrown into the first team, and they disappeared. Like, it's not about removing Dyer and playing someone else, because that's exactly what I want. But you can't rush kids into things and think, well, no, if you don't do this, then we've got Dyer, so that's Ange's fault. You need to open your eyes and realise football's not, I played my first team, they go football, they go home, and there's nothing else. There's a lot more to it.
Ellie, let's hear it. When it comes to Levy+ENIC, where are you?
I despise them because they came out like they're squeaky clean, and they're not. There's plenty of other things that they've probably done that we don't even know about. I mean, you just mentioned Jake Livermore as well, being owed money, you know, and there's probably loads and loads of stories that haven't been discovered. But you know what? Where there's money, there's vice. We've seen it at every single club. If every single club was investigated, they'll find so many things, you know. So I'm not disillusionized with it all, because I know that it goes on. But I just feel ENIC, they paint themselves as this fantastic organisation. You know, we don't do anything wrong, and then you find these things out, and there's probably going to be more that comes out as well, I'd imagine.
But do they paint themselves like that, or is that the bitter Spurs fans saying, "I don't want oil money. I'm happy with this. I'm happy with that. I don't want that." So I've never heard Daniel Levy come out and say, "I'm cleaner than clean." It's the fans that say, "I don't want to be involved in that oil money. I don't want to be involved in that. I like the way we're working."
But you know what it is as well, James? What it is you'll find a lot of people that feel the same way I do, Johnny. Everyone here does. A lot of people in the chat. Philly, who was another one that protested with us, who come out and say it is. And I think during this time, people have realised that we're right, but they just cannot bring themselves to say it because of obviously the rivalry within the fan base. You look at it, and I will say, in response to Phil, especially when it comes to Jan, the way I've said it is there's a couple of people within this community, me and Stel being the main culprits on YouTube, where I've called me and Stel the grenades, and we hold the pin. And literally, right now, the team are doing, until the last couple of games, have been doing well. It's all we wanted. We wanted players to come in and improve the squad. We got it. Doesn't mean we've gone, oh, look, it's all over now. We can all forgive and forget. We are there ready just to pull the pin out. And trust me, if players don't come in quickly, and I mean quickly in January, I will be pulling the pin out. And so will obviously Fran, Boogie, Billy, Ryan, all the other big vocal people that will have their say and won't be quiet. So we're waiting. And that's the thing, like you said, James. People, the fan base, and take this, Johnny, I'll go to you first with this one. It's not even we do have parts of this fan base, and like I said, everyone is entitled to their opinion, and I respect all of them. I don't go for people personally. I won't attack people. That is not me. It's not anyone here. There are people that literally will say, like you said, he's whiter than white. I don't want oil money because of this. I don't want oil money or country money, whatever. But it's not even that gets me. It's the refusal to admit that Daniel Levy and ENIC are not squeaky clean. That's the bit that really gets me. Don't agree with how volatile I am and I will call myself an extremist when it comes to Levy out. I am a complete extremist, and I don't deny it, and I'm not afraid to say it. But it's the fan base that, and like I said, it's only certain sections, not the whole thing, and this isn't a pot shot at any one individual. People's refusal to accept that all is not white than white. Isn't that right, James?
Right,
Yeah,
Brian,
100%.
Go to someone else. I've just got my call. One sec.
Brian, you're an you may class yourself as an extremist, but you're also a realist when it comes to Levy, because you see him as he is. Other people wear blinkers, right? And when they say, "Oh, Levy outers have gone quiet because we're doing well," they're disillusionized as well, because that's what you want. You want us to do well. All the Levy outers want us to progress as a club and be up there shouting for the league, be up there for the trophies. You know, we don't want anything more or less. You know, we want to be a relevant club that's always in the Bill Nicholson eras fighting for the trophies and winning them. That's all we want. We don't want to be this club that always nearly does it because we've not pushed on, and we've pulled the plug out at the opportune moments when we could have pushed on. That's what we stand for.
Yep.
We want the best for our club.
And James, just feed off this what Paddy said, especially, I mean, the last sentences, Joe Lewis is far from clean. If you look at it, Spurs are clean, ENIC are not. That last bit, Spurs are clean, ENIC are not. It's bang on the money, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But you've also got to look at things in a legit way. To get to the top, you're going to have to cut some corners. In regardless of any business, you have to cut corners to get to where you want. I also say it's like kill or be killed. It's one of the like something like that. So you have to get to the top by doing it the right way. But again, it's just I just don't understand. It's just crazy. But like what we're saying about being a nearly club, I wouldn't mind being a nearly club if we went for it every season and we knew that we gave it our best. But we did like 3 years with no transfers. I mean, Dyer's been here 10 years. That's not a nearly club. That's just giving up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if he sold Dyer and then say if he sold Dyer, bought in Joe Rodon, sold Joe Rodon, bought in Ben Davis, sold Ben Davis, and then got Van der Ven. I'd then accept that because I go, oh, well, you're trying. You know, that's our budget and we're trying. But the fact that we've just gone, right, we've got Davis and we've got Dyer, we'll keep them for 10 years and we'll see if we can hit gold with someone else. No coincidence that our two biggest spending centre-backs, or two of our biggest spending centre-backs, have been the best two that we've seen in God knows how many years, in Romero and Van der Ven. You're
right. And talking to defenders, you know what? Let's get away from Mr. Levy because I could go on for 4 hours just myself. I could do a filibuster. But right, the next thing I wanted to talk about, obviously, I spoke about midfield yesterday, and first of all, I just want to issue an apology because not even an apology. I was going. Don't want to play Bentancur. Too soon to play him. It's way too soon. He played 85 odd minutes for Uruguay yesterday, and from the reports I'm seeing, he was absolutely phenomenal. So where I had my doubts in playing him, I think if we play him, we play him. I didn't want to, but now completely. But what I will say is we did midfield yesterday, and we were wondering what to do. And then all of a sudden, not because we didn't need any more controversy or any more bad news, Ashley Phillips limps out of the England-Mexico. And obviously, we don't know if he was going to play, but obviously that was a particular talking point about Villa. So going into Villa now, let's talk about our defence. Ellie, if you're Ange Postecoglou, right now, as things stand, with what we know, what is your starting back four? And everyone in the chat.
Do you know what I would do? Like, if it's Udogie, is he a bit of
Johnny, I think he's 50-50.
He might be a doubt.
I think he's
50-50. I mean, listen, he's been monitored. Look, I just think, he's a big, powerful player. We've seen with Reece James, very similar type of build. Hamstring injuries. Reece James, for me, is an unbelievable player. I mean, he's the successor to Kyle Walker. Going forward, he's better than Kyle Walker, but Kyle Walker's a 10 out of 10 for, defensively. But I think Udogie will develop. I mean, I think at 21, isn't he? Or 2021?
Yeah.
He's still, the body's still changing. I think he's getting used to the speed of the Premier League. Look, I just think that right now we are teetering on the edge of collapse. I know everyone says that's being dramatic, but we are so threadbare right now at the back. And I said this before, our defence was so far ahead of schedule, considering Mickey Van der Ven had a week to prepare for the season. We had the worst pre-season I can ever remember at this club, which might account for some of the injuries, right? I said, how can you go from nothing, right, no games, and then suddenly play Premier League football, right? We're going to get injuries, and it's transpired. So the defence was ahead of schedule, and our attack, I don't think, is really fluid. It has not really gelled from the off. And now we've got the opposite, where we've got no defence, and our attack is just not blending yet. We need our attack. If we were in a situation, if you were saying to me, we could score 4 goals, but we could concede 3. No, I'd accept that as things stand at the moment. But I do fear for us, and I don't agree that we should be throwing Bentancur in for 90 minutes every game.
Same.
I'm not saying 90 minutes. I'm not saying 90 minutes.
No. I'm just saying, I thought what Uruguay did was irresponsible. I've got to be honest. Just come back from a huge, long injury, bring him back, bring him back slowly, because right now, if he gets injured and we go into January with Oliver Skip and Højbjerg, game's over, man.
I mean,
You know what? Can I add
on,
something about our attack? Right, I've seen the best moves ever for quite a while that we've done from our attack, especially in that Chelsea game. We scored really early, beautiful move. That second goal that was disallowed.
Oh, that's stunning.
That was sublime football, but it's not. We're not doing it enough. We're doing it in snippets, right? So
Here
we
and
need
there,
to be
Ellie.
more consistent.
Yeah.
We need to be more consistent and keep that pressure on. I know sometimes teams are going to come back at you, but when we have the ball, we've been quite wasteful up top. Yeah. But when we've been sublime, but it's not enough to carry you through the whole match.
Go on, Jay.
Can I? I want to add something to that. Yeah, for me, and I'm only taking my experience. Obviously, I'm lucky enough that my son plays football, but he's a right or left winger, right? And he's small, and he's like the quickest kid I've seen at his age. Like, he wins the UEA for Norwich and everything. He's fast. So what his team did in their development, they said, right, we'll play you up front and just play through balls to you. But that doesn't work, because my son is the guy that gets the ball, beats the man, and either delivers or cuts in and shoots. So he does one or two. When he's played through one-on-one, he almost gets stage fright. And going around in a circle, what I mean by this is we've got Kulusevski on right wing, who's not a right winger in my opinion. I don't even know where he plays. Maybe left wing, maybe.
Definitely not right wing.
We're playing Johnson left wing, who is predominantly a right winger. So we've now swapped two players out of position there. And I think, and even with the back line, you can't just sort of jumble and go, oh, well, I'll throw Kulu Cam. Well, Kulu's never played Cam. Why are we playing Kulu Cam when we got Lo Celso? Even if Lo Celso isn't as good as Kulu, for example, I think he's better. But even if he isn't, play him in his proper position. And in 2 or 3 games' time, he's going to get a bit of flow. He's going to know what he's doing. He's going to work with his players. Whereas Kulu, you've got to then learn a whole new position, a whole new formation, a whole new responsibility. So with this defence, I would keep exactly the same. I mean, if Royale, obviously, if a doggy, then Royale goes left back. If not, I would put Royale right centre back. But then I'd love to just see our team play our strongest team. Bentancur, that guy shouldn't be playing more than 20 minutes for me, maximum. Just because, what's the point? What's the point in rushing him back? If we do rush him back, and if there's a 10% chance he gets injured, I don't want to take that 10% chance. I saw how good he was. No disrespect to Sarr, because Sarr's been fantastic, but Bentancur's in a different league. So if we could get Basuma, Bentancur, Maddison in January, that's worth waiting for. You know, we've got Villa. I think that's going to be a very hard game. City, we're probably going to lose. West Ham's a hard game. So we've got hard games coming up. And it's one of those things that people need to realise we're like 10, 11 games into a new manager, a new philosophy, a new everything. We can't just go, like what I'm seeing people say now is, oh, no, now is Ange the right guy? He can't change his philosophy. He can't do this. It's like, well, we're 10 games in. He hasn't had a chance to change. He hasn't even had a chance to learn the first philosophy, let alone the second or third. You know, I said at the beginning of the season, I expect absolutely nothing. I would love us to be better than last season, but I expect nothing. I just think we need to give him time and play. I would like to see him play people in the right positions. But in fairness to him, other than Johnson, I mean, Richarlison's having an absolute stinker at the minute. So who else do we bring in? So it's hard.
So, defence, Johnny, I'll come to you straight away, especially, but I want to go back to defence. First of all, I will say let me just say with Bentancur, I don't want Bentancur to start. I do not. I think until, like you, James, until January, ease him in more and more, and especially over Christmas, you start giving him a start. And I want him fit mainly for January because obviously Basuma and Sarr are going.
With that, Brian, plus the long flights, they're not normal flights.
Exactly.
Muscle injuries, James.
So you got that. But what I was getting at with that is after seeing what he's done for Uruguay, I can see him starting. And if he does, he does. He's not going to play 90 minutes. But getting back to defence, if Adoji and Porro will be fit, for me, like I think everyone's saying, it's Davies and Emerson for me. Dyer, nowhere. But Colin's brought it up. You
can't rush it, man. We've seen so many kids come in and get destroyed.
Yeah, this is the thing I want to get at now. This is where we need to talk about. I understand all this talk about youth and their confidence. They're this, they're that. when we had Adebayor and Soldado, yes, listen, on their day, great strikers, didn't work. We played a very, very young certain striker and chucked him in at the deep end. And look what happened. We did it with a Ledley King.
How long ago was that, Brian?
Listen, that part I get. But then if you want to look at it as well, you look at the filth down the road, Saka and Nketiah, Smith Rowe. Man City, look, I'm not, listen, James, I'm not.
No, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. But Smith, yeah. Centre backs are different to a winger. And look at Smith Rowe, though. Smith Rowe come in and he's gone nowhere now. For me, a centre back, we've got just say hypothetical, Dorrington starts next to Ben Davis, whatever, or Dyer, whoever you want to pick. Dyer makes a mistake. Dorrington tries to cover. By that, he gets beat. We're 1-0 down, 2-0 down, 3-0 down. Then we go to City, 1-0 down, 2-0 down, 3-0 down. Dorrington's going to think, fuck me, I'm nowhere near ready. I'm not good enough. I'm not on this level. You don't want that. Really, you want to be playing someone like Luton and say, right, last 10 minutes, go on, have a little go, see how you get on. You can't, in my opinion, and obviously it's one of those things, if you throw people in there, we've seen so many players go missing. What was that guy for United? Like the winger that come on, he chipped the keeper in his first game, scored a hat-trick in his second game, and then he just disappeared. It just disappeared. And you're like, oh.
Well, look, the thing is, we got rid of 5 centre-backs and brought in 2, right? I mean, you know, who does that? Just quickly, I need to go back to something, right? That James was saying before, right? I understand the hate for Gio, right? I don't get it because, right, this is a guy that starts every time for Argentina, right? Argentina
got an assist yesterday, Johnny. He got an assist yesterday or this morning. Did you see it?
Right, this is what I'm going to say, right? Sorry, guys, you got to quit, right? Okay, there's this hate, like there's the hate for Højbjerg, like there's a hate for Emerson Royal, right? You got to quit, right? Honestly, you know, has Gio performed at the best of his abilities for Spurs? No, he has not. Is there a player in there? 100% yes. He dragged Villarreal to the semi-finals of the Champions League. He was ever present in Argentina, every single one of Argentina's games. Look at the quality of players in Argentina. We don't have any creative players. He comes on in the game against Wolves. He's the only one he got back to get 2 crazy tackles in to win the ball back. He had our only shot on target, and everyone's identifying him as the weak pin. Going back quickly to the defence, we got rid of 5 players. I said, don't get rid of Sanchez until we got replacement because he's the only one that can play the high line. Yes, we know he's susceptible to lots of mistakes, but when you have pace like Sanchez has, he can make recovering tackles. We've seen it before, right? Dyer can't, okay? Tanganga, he might not have been the best, but he could have played at right back. He could potentially have played centre back. He would have been preferable to me to playing Eric Dyer. Region, I said you can't, whatever you think about Region, he was demanded, he played at Real Madrid. He was asked to go to Atletico Madrid because of his talents, right, by one of the great defenders, Simeone, who identified him as an asset. He is Mr. Defence. But Spurs fans, he's not good enough for us. Right now, Reggie would be playing every single game, right? He would be playing. As soon as Adoji was injured, right, Reggie would be coming in. We are the victims of our own demise. We organised our own demise, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's a few
tried to get money in. That's it.
There's a few comments. There's a few comments saying things like his head's not in it or his heart's not in it. And what I'd like to say to them is, if you sign for a club, how long ago was it? 4 years ago? 3-4 years ago?
Who are you talking about?
Lo Celso, sorry.
Oh yeah.
Well, Lo Celso was Pochettino.
So if you signed for Tottenham 3 or 4 years ago, played one game here, didn't play, played one game there, didn't play, went on loan, got to the semi-finals of the Cup, come back, didn't play, game here, game there, didn't play, how would your head be? Because if you're a footballer and you want to play football, I mean, look at Basuma last season. The guy was a mess. He didn't do anything. No social media, no nothing. Should we have got rid of him because his head wasn't right? He wasn't Mr. Tottenham. And then this season, completely different player. Players blossom the more they play. Unfortunately, we've got probably one of the best cams in the league now in Maddison. But I think if Maddison's missing, you have to play Lo Celso. 100%. The hate is madness. The hate is absolute for what? They're not slating him for playing bad. They're just slating him for the sake of slating him. It's crazy.
And Joe, I'm just going to bring a comment up. And Ellie, I'm going to go to you first, then Johnny, then James. I've tried to avoid bringing it up because I love this guy dearly. I love this man, one of the nicest mans you could ever meet. But Mr. Box Office is in the chat.
Oh,
and he's going on about class of 92. Now, Johnny, keep quiet. You're going to have your say after Ellie. Listen, Alex, I love you dearly. You know I do. Johnny said it's like our club. I agree with Johnny. You can put me in that comment because what we have right now for the first time in ages is a huge amount of potential coming through our youth academy at the same time, like Manchester United had with the class of 92. They are not ready to come in right now.
Nowhere near.
Give it 2-3 years. Your people like your Alfie Devine, your Dorrington, your Phillips, your Donnelly, your Santiagos, they are all coming through. Just because Johnny said it, and I stand by Johnny with this, with the reference. Not saying that they're going to lead us to the success United did. Obviously, they had Ferguson and all the money, and they were the major powerhouse in the Premier League at the time. For the first time in ages, we're not talking about a Harry Kane coming through, and then a few years later, a Winks, and then maybe a Skip. We are talking about a pool of players here. And then you had Vuskovic, who's coming. For the first time in God knows how long, there is the potential for a lot of youth to come through at the same time. They are not ready yet. Johnny uses this reference, and I've heard him say it many a time, saying that Manchester United had their crop of youngsters coming through, and obviously they came through in 92, hence the name, and did what they did. The crop we have right now have the potential, not saying to take us to the glory United did, but we have an opportunity right here if coached right, if brought through right, if given the loans they need to go get first team football, to literally be a major force. Probably about half of the starting lineup in about 4 or 5 years could be from what's going on in the youth academy. And Ellie, I'm going to go to you straight after John. It's only fair that as Mr. Box Office mentioned his name, then I'll come to you, James. Obviously, but Johnny, have your say, and then we'll go to Ellie.
The journey. Look, we all know. James will know this as well. The journey from youth football to senior football is huge, right? And playing under 21s, Prem 2 is probably League One level, I would say, at its current format. But when you look at what we've produced I've been watching this football for years, and it's very hard to ever get excited. You have your failures, like Josh Onomar was destined to be the next big thing, and we all know what happened to him. Edwards still had a career. McElwainey, he still had a career, but I do feel that this set of players that we have now is the best group of players that I can remember coming through as Spurs. I just don't, I can't remember a better group of players coming through with the talent that they have. And so that's why I refer to it as the class of 92. And not only that, the focus now is so much on the development of youth football, because Spurs as a club are not going to be the club that's spending £100 million on players. We're never going to be that club under this management, under this ownership. So we have to focus on youth. And they've started to pay the right money for the youth players, finally. They're finally getting the coaching that they should be getting, finally. And the emphasis is on trying to develop and bring them through, and not just go out willy-nilly and buy players and block the path of these players. But as Brian said, you will not find me saying that Ashley Phillips and Dorrington should be starting, because as much as I dislike Eric Dyer, and I think he's a disaster at a high line, you cannot force, an 18-year-old to be playing at centre-back. Yes, as a midfielder. Yes, as a striker. Yes, as a winger and a midfielder, but not as a centre-back. It's suicide for me at that age. But let's see what happens, Box, right?
And this is what he said. In fair play, before we go to Ellie, fair play to Box Office for saying that. This is the thing. This right now is not the time, but we can see it coming through. Listen, Manchester United and Alex Ferguson would have seen the class of 92 1990, and would have said, right, in a couple of years, I need to monitor these.
Correct.
Wait, I'm going to go to Ellie first, James, then you. But that's the thing. The managers knew what was coming 2 years beforehand. Then when Alex thought they were Sir Alex, sorry, my bad. Sir Alex thought they were ready. He did that. It's now our waiting game. We're talking about this youth. We're aware of it. It's when they come in. Ellie, where are you with the youth coming through?
Well, how I see it, right, we've plucked 2 of our gems and put them on loan. So these are the 2 players, Alfie Devine and Dane Scarlett.
Or how Alfie?
Yeah, Alfie, yeah. The last Alfie we had was Alfie Conn, and he was fantastic as well. But getting back to this subject, I think the clubs sort of know what they're doing, but sometimes, do you know what? I'm going to go against what you, not what all of you are saying, but I always feel, right, the centre-back position, yeah, it's a bit of a risk for a young player. But I just don't like the thought of Eric Dyer making those mistakes, and I would rather give a youngster a try. I don't know, maybe I'm old school, because we've thrown youngsters in the deep end before, and some of them have failed, and some. But that's the only way you're going to find out. But
the only way I would agree with that, Ellie, is if you played both of them, both youngsters. I don't want a poor lad getting next to Dyer or Davis. I don't think that's fair. But if you was to play 2, I'd be open to it.
You reckon?
I just feel like if they don't think they're ready, fair enough. But I can't see us progressing with Dyer, because he always makes mistakes. And it's like you've got an old car that's had its last day. You're going to bin it, aren't you? And bring in your fresh car. All right, the fresh car might be raw, you know.
But you might destroy
but what you're saying, what you're saying is you've got 4 tyres, 3 of them are manky, but you go out and buy a Pirelli and put it on the front and expect that car to run functional. Still got 3 dodgy tyres.
Mate,
so this is where
I am nicking that, James. I am absolutely.
But it's true, is it not? That's why I said if you're going to play Porro, and then 2 young lads, and then Udogi, I'd be okay with that, because I'd feel like there's no pressure. But the moment you play a senior in a Dyer or a Davis next to a young lad, that young lad's got to cover for that pro or that professional that's been there for years. I don't think it's a good idea. But if you was to go all young, Porro's young, Udogi's young, 2 young centre backs, and then plus I think if you have 2 young centre backs, I think they'd also listen to Vicario. I think if you were to get 2 young guys at the back there, Vicario could organise that line. Whereas I feel, well, Dyer does whatever he wants anyway, so it doesn't matter who you've got in goal.
There you go. And look at Johnny. Johnny is either very, very cold, or his agent's been on the phone and he's got to go to a meeting. Very, very.
Yeah, I've got a meeting, unfortunately, because but I would love to stay and chat.
So listen. On that note,
especially on this subject with Ellie and James.
Well, James, Johnny, we're going to wrap up now, so you can get going. Just tell people where they can find you.
Johnny H 3232 on Twitter, and if you go onto my profile, you'll find my Instagram account, which seems to be doing quite well at the moment, and obviously on here.
And the return of anger management next Monday.
We'll be back on
Monday.
Monday, yeah.
Monday, Anger Management will be the morning Cockerel Doodle do, the return of Anger Management, and hopefully the return to winning ways. James,
I'm fearful.
Where can people find you, James, brother?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at James Flower, and then I'm here, and I'm always in the chats, chatting and discussing about everything else.
Thank you, James. Always a pleasure. And Ellie, my darling, my rock star, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Just the Girl Who Loves Spurs with Kate, the brilliant Kate. And then we've got a new show called To Dare Is to Debate. We had Ashmatic on last night, which was really good. And Mia. And we've got another show in the pipeline, which is going to be a fun show, which is called, it was my idea for the name. It's called All About the Banter. So that's going to take off, but we're waiting for, Kate's had a few problems with her cat dying, and, you know, she's in a sort of bad place at the moment, but she's getting there. So we're going to bring that one, because you know when you're in that state, you don't want to do something fun. So yeah, so it's all good. And also I go on Talk on Ball quite often as well, because I like Jose and Colin, nice lad.
Well, there you go. So
Yeah.
everyone will be redirected to me. All I will say is, Lewis, I'll give you a call during the week. We need to get you back on the show. It's always good to see you. If you ever have on To Dare Is to Debate, if you ever have a discussion about a certain chairman, I expect a message immediately to debate anyone that's coming on. But right, very, very busy time for Tottenham on Tour right now. So you've had this show. We are recording 3 of the Advent calendar days today, ready for December. Me and Brian Ireland will be back with the late show tonight at 9 p.m. I don't sleep anymore. I don't sleep. I just need to be sponsored by Red Bull. So if you're listening, Red Bull, we'll Monster or any other drinks company. Then I'll be back once again tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the morning my time, 9 a.m. your time, with Cockerel Doodle Do. And I'm looking forward to the weekend to have a rest, which is what we're going to do. But guys,
imagine if ENIC came along and rung up, he got Daniel's representative saying, "We'd love to sponsor your show."
Mate, you don't know the worst thing that I've got, Johnny. This is I'll end with this.
Dilemma.
I'm going to tell you about an actual nightmare, and I mean an actual nightmare I've actually had. I've actually had the nightmare that Daniel Levy and Joe Lewis sell Tottenham Hotspur, but then they decide they want to stint in the MLS and buy Toronto FC.
Oh no!
I've actually had that nightmare, and then I will be protesting in minus 40 degrees, probably by myself again, and start. But I've actually had that dream where, like, the whole thing that Levy and ENIC have bought Toronto FC, which is the worst thing that could ever happen. But yes, we will see you on the late show if you're watching at 2 a.m. UK time or wherever you are around the world. If not, I will be back at 9 a.m. tomorrow with Cockerel Doodle Do. Thank you for joining us. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always,
take care.
Out. Tottenham.